With the release of Final Fantasy X and X-2, I thought I'd talk about frame rate locks, specifically 30 FPS locks since that's the frame rate the game is officially released in. I think by now everyone knows the finicky nature of PC gamers, especially regarding resolution and frame rates. I'm really happy that a lot of Square's past titles are coming to Steam, but most of these games are locked at 30 FPS. In the past, I myself never noticed this, but most of these games were always running in 30 FPS, even on their original platforms. And a lot of PC gamers are very selective about how they play their games, and not being able to play at 60 FPS grinds a lot of people's gears. I'm sure developers already know this before releasing their titles on PC, but why do they still do it? Why would they cap their frame rates even though a majority of their customers avoid it like the plague? So I did a little bit of research and here's what I found out. If you're asking why don't they just release the frame rate cap for the PC port, is it that hard? Probably not. The process of removing the cap is probably easy, but the results, however, are not that simple. While some games will work fine, some have their logic tied to the frame rate. Simply uncapping the frame rate won't get you smoother gameplay. Instead, you'll be playing the game in fast forward, which is equivalent to breaking the game if you think about it. For example, if a 30 FPS logic tied game was directly converted to 60 FPS, it would just double the game speed or exaggerate a value in the game which could break it. The game Bully by Rockstar, for example, runs at 30 FPS. There's a mod out there to unlock the frame rate to 60 FPS. However, some missions can't be completed in 60 FPS, and for those specific missions, you'll have to revert the game back to 30 FPS in order to progress. And if you want, you can just unlock the frame rate again. In Dark Souls, playing the game in 60 FPS degrades your weapons faster, sorta like an extra hard mode, I guess. Fixed frame rate is easier to program. By limiting the game's overall design, developers are able to simplify their work process and reduce their workload. A benefit to this is they'll save a lot of time and focus on refining the details of their work. Although this isn't the number one reason devs avoid variable frame rate, but I can see how some companies might use this as an excuse to save cost. Variable frame rate has more potential for bugs and slightly more complex math. Comparatively, there's a lot more calculations that have to be done when variable frame rate is involved. When a game is built around a fixed frame rate, the game's environment is more controlled and potential for bugs is decreased. In the pre-internet era, this was crucial because if a bug was present, there'd be no way to issue a patch to fix it like we do now. And finally is console hardware limitations and parity. By now, it's no secret that consoles are pretty severely underpowered. The upcoming release of the PS4 Neo further reinforces this point. On the PC, you usually have the option to choose which you prioritize more. With weak hardware, you're presented with a choice, whether to choose between better visuals or higher frame rates. However, this isn't the trend on consoles, and devs default to providing lower frame rates in favor of better graphics. And because some devs used to develop exclusively for consoles, they never considered that their games would be ported to the PC. That's why we're getting Final Fantasy ports that are locked at 30 FPS, and to enable it to run at 60 FPS, they'd have to work on the game's code at a very low level. It's expensive and might introduce unforeseen bugs in the final release if they don't do an extensive test, and companies are always on a deadline. Some devs, however, purposely lock their frame rates for what is called console parity. Essentially, it means that the devs want everyone to experience the same game equally, regardless of what platform you're playing them on. So it wouldn't matter if you had a PS4 or top-end PC, you'll still experience the same visuals and the same frame rate. However, most PC gamers chose their platform to avoid these issues. So yeah, bad idea. Alright guys, so we've reached the end of the video. I'm not saying 30 FPS is good, but I understand why older titles get ported with a 30 FPS lock. And some games like the recent Final Fantasy X and X-2 remaster really did a good job and plays pretty smooth for a 30 FPS locked game, although it seems like a 60 FPS mod is already in the works. Square, what's happening? For newer PC games coming to PC, best keep it unlocked. Alright devs, hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe for more.